You have only a finite amount of mental load capacity. And the result of that is that, you spend it, and you might be spending it mindlessly. You might be spending it strategically, but you need to get clear on the spend.
Hi, I'm Professor Leah Ruppanner. As a sociologist, I've made it my life's mission to take down every ridiculous gender myth out there. Like, do pretty people get paid more, or are women better multitaskers? This is MissPerceived.
Hi, wonderful people. Welcome to MissPerceived. Are you so excited to be with me? Because I'm so excited to be with you. I want to tell you my book is out, Drained, Reduce Your Mental Load to Do Less and Be More. And the most beautiful thing about having this book out into the world is that I am getting all the feedback. People are telling me what they think, what they like, what they don't understand. They're asking me questions of like, wait, what about this? As a researcher, this is my job. I know sometimes people are like, I don't want to give you this criticism or this feedback. Give it to me, because all it does is help me get clear in the thinking, identify where there might be gaps, and see how my ideas, which are research-based and research-backed, yes, of course, are entering into the world. So, and the other fun thing is I get to think about new research projects. So like on Instagram, someone commented like, we have this study, side note, just bear with me. We have the study where we showed that actually women who have messier rooms, or, they're judged more harshly for the mess of the room. And someone was like, wait a minute, what about if they drop their kids off and their kids are messy? Their kids are unkempt. It's like, this is a great research project and we are going to do it. So this is my long way of saying, please let me know what you think, how it's resonating, what you like, what is kind of the sticky bits, because it's interesting for me to hear that and think about the other research that would connect into it, but also how to communicate that back to the world. So with that in mind, I want to tell you a little baby story. Because I am talking about the mental load incessantly, I've started to create these kind of mental load collaboratives, right? Where it's like me, other researchers, wonderful people around the world, people who are making stuff to solve the mental load, people who are thinking about the mental load, people who are helping parents or who are helping caregivers. So we've started to convene these groups where we meet with this wonderful collaboration of mental load people, with myself and others, organizing them in DC and London. We'll hold one in Australia, and hearing how people are thinking about it and how it touches their life. Now, within this group, when I was in London, one of the things that someone said to me, and I'm curious how this resonates for you. One of the things someone said to me was like, wait a minute, you are telling me, which I am, that the mental load is emotional thinking work that is necessary for us to keep our work, life, and family functioning. I am telling you that. And I defined that with co-authors Liz Dean and Brendan Churchill in an academic article. So yes, this is where I'm saying this is what it is. And then I'm saying to you, there's 8 different types, right? And you have only a finite amount of mental load capacity. And the result of that is that you spend it, and you might be spending it mindlessly. You might be spending it strategically, but you need to get clear on the spend. So one of the things they said to me, well, I'll tell you 2 things that I think you might find interesting. One was like, is it possible that certain people have more mental load capacity than others? What do you think about this? Like, I'm curious your thought on this. My answer is like, of course, right? Of course they do. Like, of course, some of us, just like athletes, just like work, we have different energy levels that have different capacities when you're young versus when you're older, that it's going to shift and change. So I would say to you, yes, I think certain people might have more mental load capacity than others innately, just like some people might have more natural ability to run, more lung capacity, more whatever. So I think that that is true. The next question they asked was like, well, could you actually increase your mental load capacity? And I think the answer on that is yes, too. Like, could you get more mental load capacity? I think you probably could. I think you could in 2 ways. One is that if you start to reduce the negative strain, the negative drain, the things that are actually unhelpful and unuseful. And then the second thing is, if you start to get better at some things, if you improve your thinking, you should, in theory, get faster on certain things. And then the result of that is you should have some more left over. And maybe you even get a little bit stronger and you build up a little bit more capacity. One of the arguments that came through was like, hey, wait a minute. Is it just that actually mothers are better at certain things because they've done it so many times? Like, The short answer is like, no one's good at doing things simultaneously, but it is possible that you get better skills because you have done, fill in the blank since the children were babies. That doesn't make it right, but that makes it even more important to share. That makes it even more important to say, I'm doing this. I'm faster at it because I've done it since, grandma was diagnosed or the children were little, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn. It means when you hand it off, someone else just might make more mistakes and be slower. Do not, I'm saying this to you, do not step in when that happens because they are not doing it the way you did it or doing it as quickly as you did. You have had multiple practices on this thing, which has made you quicker and more efficient, which does not necessarily mean that you should hold on to that work. That doesn't mean that that should remain yours for life. And in fact, one of the things that came through the interviews was that in non-hetero and LGBTIQ plus partnerships, they would swap stuff more often. It wasn't like you held something forever. And so the result of that is that, you might do less. The other person might be slower, you might be faster, but don't you dare use that as a reason to hold on to it when you're near burnout, when you're trying to shift the division of labor. Now, the third thing that came through, and this is the one I was like, interesting, is like, do we inherently view the mental load as heavy? Like, is the language of the mental load, when I say to you, what's your mental load? People are automatically like, oh, right? Like, oh, that feels so heavy. And in part, I think that is because we stack things up, right? We stack things up. We do too much. We give too much energy to other people. We have misaligned our mental loads to our goals. We do the stuff that we really hate to do that doesn't add any value to our life and we honestly should drop. But I think part of that is that's where we're at. Like, we're at this mental load moment. It's a heavy load for many. But as I argue in my book, sometimes we do mental loads. We do things in terms of emotional thinking work to keep our life going that we love, that we actually enjoy, that bring us energy, that although they can be a cost in terms of our cognition or our mental load capacity or our mental load energy, actually lead us to have more fulfilling, more enjoyable, more wonderful lives. And so is that then a mental load, right? Like, is it in fact a mental load if you're doing something that's crediting? In the book, I talk about identifying the costs and the credits and the costs, right? Like a bank account, like, oh, I do this thing and it costs me 5 cents. And then sometimes I do this thing and it gives me back a quarter or a dollar. And so how do you figure out which of your mental loads are actually costing you money and which of your mental loads are giving you more into your bank account? Because, say for example, you have a wonderful weekend away with your kids or your family or your partner, and you come back feeling refreshed, or your friends, and you come back and you're like, wow, I have mental load energy. Like, I can step into my world. I can do more. I can take on something because I've credited back up my account. This is what I called the mental load loves. These are your mental loves. So I want you to start thinking about, and in my book, I talk about loves, like investing in your loves. So I'm curious, I guess, I want to know your thoughts on this. I'm curious how that resonates for you. Like, do you think it's valuable to start thinking about the mental load and mental loves? Do you think it's worth trying to think about how do we transition away from mental loads and into mental loves? You're always going to have a mental load. You're always going to have to do some stuff that is a drain. You're always going to have to carry some elements of emotional thinking work to allow your life to move in the direction you want. But should we start quantifying your mental loves? And if you have mental loves, what do they look like? What I talk about in my book are small things like, a trip away and to the beach with little kids, foot races in the sand, drinks on a balcony with friends, coffee during the day with, a parent, time with your partner, time alone on a walk. What are the things that you do that bring you mental loves, that help to lighten your mental load? And how can we start to see those things so that I can start doing what you do. We can start sharing them because I want to help you both through the mental loads, and I want to help get you into more mental loves. And then I want to celebrate your mental loves. So if you can, send them through. Let me know on Instagram. Let me know on Facebook. Let me know on TikTok. Let me know wherever you are following me. I would love to hear, what are your mental loves? And what are your mental loads? And how do they sit across work, life, and family? If you want to learn more, you can get my book, Drained, Reduce Your Mental Load to Do Less and Be More. I actually talk about some of these elements in there: credits, loves, loads, costs. And you can go to lightandlab.com, where I have a free assessment. I have videos. I'm helping you understand your mental load. So guess what? We can all live lighter lives with more love, joy, passion, and enjoyment. Y'all, as per always, thank you for listening to MissPerceived, where you don't need a PhD. You just get to come hang out with me. And I love you. Have a wonderful week. And tell me about your mental loves. Let's switch this conversation. Okay.
We are so lucky and grateful that this series is being supported by the Melbourne Public Humanities Initiative at the University of Melbourne.